Welp, it's all but certain. For President of the United States of America, we get to choose between Deceiver A or Deceiver B. God bless democracy.
ISIS is making millions and millions of dollars a week selling Libya oil.
I don't know why he's saying that shit. It's false. ISIS is attacking Libya oil fields, but not selling it for millions of dollars a week.
But we came out of the White House not only dead broke, but in debt.
Dead broke? That's an exaggeration. A deceptive manipulation of words. By any common understanding of the phrase, she wasn't dead broke.
Frankly, she doesn't do very well with women.
Yeah, his statement is clearly false. Trump says it's true because he did well with women in some of the GOP primaries. That says nothing toward his claim about Hillary. Polls at the time showed Clinton led Trump with women by a greater margin than any presidential nominee in the last 36 years. Does he not realize what he's saying is downright false? Does he not care? What's wrong with this guy? Here's a claim in a Clinton campaign ad.
Securing a massive reduction in nuclear weapons.
I'm Hillary Clinton, and I approve this message.
There was a small reduction, not a massive one. This is just a blatant campaign exaggeration. An exaggeration to the point of falsehood. Recently, Donald Trump has been saying a lot of this.
I said, and you know this because I've been saying this to you for years, don't go into Iraq, don't go into Iraq. Because we totally destroyed the balance of power. We destroyed the whole equilibrium of the Middle East. I was always against the war in Iraq. I said it's going to totally destabilize the Middle East, and that's what it's done. It's a disaster.
He said, don't go into Iraq. That phrasing is what you'd say before the war happened. So he's claiming, before the war, he said don't go in. He also says he was always against the war in Iraq. Mr. Trump, always? Were you?
Are you for invading Iraq?
Yeah, I guess so. I wish it was. I wish the first time it was done correctly.
He wasn't always against the war. Now, he was never a strong supporter, and shortly after the war started, he did come out against it. There's no evidence that he came out against the war before it started. This is baffling, because he could have easily made a similar point while also telling the truth. He could be going around saying he was against the war from the near beginning. That would be true. But instead, he goes around exaggerating to the point of falsehood in a way that makes his judgment and foresight look better than it actually was. Donald, why would you do that unless you're intentionally trying to make yourself look good by lying? Or unless you're delusional. Fuck you, Donald Trump, you goddamn fucking deceiver! Look, it is hard to keep a straight face, but I am dead serious. We have two goddamn deceivers here. But, cussing out a camera when you're alone in a room still feels kind of stupid. Alright. During the primary in April 2016, Trump said,
"My numbers are better right now than Ronald Reagan's numbers were with Jimmy Carter."
Not true. Trump was twice as far behind Clinton as Reagan was behind Carter in the same time period. Trump's favorable/unfavorable numbers, also shittier.
When she found out that there was a security camera and that they had her on tape, all of a sudden that story changed.
No, she didn't change her story after they found a video. The Guardian put these two clips together for us.
We are making progress toward finalizing a far-reaching new trade agreement called the Trans-Pacific Partnership. The so-called TPP will lower barriers, raise standards, and drive long-term growth across the region. Now looking back on it, it doesn't have the results we thought it would have in terms of access to the markets, more exports, etc.
So are you saying that as of today, this is not something you could support?
What I know about it as of today, I am not in favor of what I have learned about it.
She was for the TPP, even advocated for it publicly. Then she got herself into a Democratic primary against someone to the left of her who rallied people against trade deals like this one, and she changed her mind. Now look, it's possible that she did change her mind. This trade deal went through a lot of negotiation, and the result could have been different than she imagined. But knowing Hildog's history of changing positions based on what's politically expedient, I suspect this is another political deception.
I believe that marriage is not just a bond, but a sacred bond between a man and a woman. This morning, love triumphed in the highest court in our land.
Over the last few decades, a lot of Americans have changed their opinion on gay marriage. It's possible Hildog did too, but I doubt it. Deceiver!
We love the deal you made with Iran. It's wonderful. You give them $150 billion. We get nothing.
Not true. He just pulls numbers out of his ass. This guy makes shit up. Speaking about the wives of 9/11 terrorists, Trump said,
The wife knew exactly what was happening. They left 2 days earlier with respect to the World Trade Center, and they went back to where they went, and they watched their husband on television flying into the World Trade Center.
There's no evidence to support that claim. He either got confused about something, or this is just another Trump fabrication, and one he is using to justify the murdering of families. Speaking on Trump University, Trump said,
We have an A from the Better Business Bureau.
it had an A at some time, but for years it had as low as a D rating. Currently it has no rating. He quotes the A while ignoring the much worse recent ratings to make his questionable business look cleaner than it was. Deceiver. Speaking about her private email server that she had as Secretary of State, Hildog said,
That was absolutely permitted.
maybe it was permitted, but not absolutely. She didn't follow regulations for maintaining government records, and using private email for State Department work was overtly frowned upon. A message was even sent under her name telling employees to not use email accounts for State Department business.
And I'm the only candidate in the Democratic primary, or actually on either side, who Wall Street financiers and hedge fund managers are actually running ads against.
False. Wall Street has run ads against other people.
I think it's very unfair when the New York Times can write a story that they know is false, that they virtually told me they know is false, and I say, why don't you pull the story? And they say, we're not going to do that, because they can't basically be sued, and you can't be sued because you can say anything you want, and that's not fair.
Not true. Newspapers that knowingly say false things can be sued. Trump repeatedly claimed illegal immigration wouldn't even be on the radar if it wasn't for him bringing it up.
Number one, you wouldn't even be talking, and you wouldn't have asked that as the first question if it weren't for me when I talked about illegal immigration. It wouldn't even be a big subject.
What a ridiculous statement. Illegal immigration has been a big thing for decades. The last Republican president's own immigration plan was thwarted by an uproar from his own base. In the 2008 campaign, Romney became famous for the phrase self-deportation, and Trump's fellow Republican contenders constantly brought it up. Ted Cruz railed against amnesty every chance he got. Is Trump so egotistical that he really thinks illegal immigration is talked about a lot because of him? Or is this another purposeful deception? Either way, false.
Right now, we're the highest taxed country in the world.
No, we're not. Speaking about the first 3 months of her campaign, Hildog said,
So obviously I'll be doing a lot more press. I did local press all along the last 3 months.
during the third month of that 3 months, she did some local press, but she wasn't doing it all along. Speaking about the immigration of her grandparents, Hildog said this.
All my grandparents, came over here.
All of her grandparents did not immigrate to the United States. One did. Maybe she misspoke, but it sounds like she's playing fast and loose with the truth.
If you look at two Republican two-term presidents, Ronald Reagan and George W. Bush, and two Democratic two-term presidents, Bill Clinton and now Barack Obama, and if I just were to compare Reagan's 8 years with Bill's 8 years, it's like night and day in terms of the effects, the number of jobs that were created, the number of people lifted out of poverty, 100 times more when Bill was president.
Yeah, Bill's 8 years were better, but not 100 times better. That's a gross exaggeration.
His father was with Lee Harvey Oswald prior to Oswald's being, shot. I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous. What is this right prior to his being shot? And nobody even brings it up. I mean, they don't even talk about that. That was reported, and nobody talks about it. I mean, what was he doing with Lee Harvey Oswald shortly before the death, before the shooting? It's horrible.
Okay, Trump just said Ted Cruz's father was with Lee Harvey Oswald around the time Oswald shot and killed President John F. Kennedy. Trump insinuated that his political opponent's father was involved in the murder of a president of the United States. That's a huge fucking claim. And if someone who wants to be the leader of our country is going to make such a claim, he better have some serious evidence and not just be spewing bullshit out of his mouth. What's Trump's evidence? A grainy picture of Oswald with a white-looking man with black hair. Ted's father was also a white-looking man with black hair. That's not evidence at all. Trump cited reporting on the issue, but he was citing the National Enquirer. This is a tabloid, not a real newspaper. They don't even pretend to do serious journalism. There is no excuse for Trump's outrageous and false claim/accusation. It is yet another Trump deception.
Don't believe those phony numbers when you hear 4.9 and 5% unemployment. The number's probably 28, 29, as high as 35. In fact, I even heard recently 42%.
There are other ways to calculate unemployment, but they get you nowhere near 42%.
I remember landing under sniper fire. There was supposed to be some kind of a greeting ceremony at the airport, but instead we just ran with our heads down to get into the vehicles to get to our base.
Oh, landed under sniper fire and ran with your head down? That sounds frightening. Let's look at the video. What the fuck, Hill Dog? You had to know there was video. CBS News wasn't there undercover. Why would you say that? Now, it was 12 years earlier, and she probably had intense fears when her security told her there could be gunfire, so she could have had a legitimate misremembering and a brain fart while making that speech. But it sure looks like you were trying to beef up your experience and forgot to describe that experience truthfully. Deceiver. My citations are in the video description, but I'd like to give a special thanks to PolitiFact, because I relied on them the most heavily. PolitiFact! Wow! Thanks, bros! Now, I'm not cherry-picking clips here. Problems telling the truth is just how these candidates operate. So, America, no matter what you do, the next leader of the free world will be a deceiving deceiver, sending deceptions to all the little deceptees who will be decepted by these deceptors. In a time like this, I only know one thing to do. I don't have a lot of nursing experience. That one thing to do is inject illegal drugs. Whatever takes away the pain of reality. Oh, yeah. Just kidding, folks. I don't even know the name of illegal drugs. There's nothing in here but air. I'm Lone Candle. Like me, comment me, love me.